Hey yo, it's Colin from the Life of Logos podcast, coming at you with another one today. Solo, where's Kenny at? Good question. I don't know yet. We're gonna have to talk about some stuff. But in the interim, between hither and yon, talking about men today. This one's particularly about the fathers in this world. And I'd like to begin by saying thank you. Not only to my dad, who's probably the most amazing man I've ever met, um, but also with the fathers who have contributed to my life along the way. The fact of the matter is, there are many men who we are going to meet over the course of our lives. Men that shape us, have an impact. The men who come into our lives to direct us towards a better future, not only for themselves, not only for us, but our posterity after them. Again, my dad will always be number one in my book because he's my dad. And he's gone through and done some things that have reshaped my understanding of what it is to be a man and to be a good human. And that's a testament to his character. So, Dad, if you're hearing this, thank you very much. Dropping in, of all things, to the good book, let us listen to what the Lord has to say. We're going to be reading from Hebrews 12:7 through 11. And it says, "It is for discipline that you have to endure. God is treating you as sons. For what son is there whom the Father does not discipline? If you are left without discipline, in which all have participated, then you are illegitimate children, and not sons. Besides this, we have had earthly fathers who have disciplined us, and we respected them. Shall we not much more be subject to the Father of spirits and live? For they disciplined us for a short time, as it seemed best to them, but he disciplines us for our good, and that we may share in his holiness. For the moment of discipline, or excuse me, for the moment of all discipline seems painful rather than pleasant, but later it yields a peaceful fruit of righteousness to those who have been trained by it." That is something that most people don't want to hear today, to include myself. And I'm going to use that verse to really share a story of how I didn't understand that when I was a younger man. Some years ago, I had moved to California at this time, and I was at a gym. The gym got me connected with a guy named Barrett Orteg. Barrett, if you've ever seen this as well, I don't know where you disappeared to, but I wish you the world, brother, and I wish you the best. He got me plugged up with the men's team. It is a men's team, emphasis added. It is not a group, it is the men's team. And they were called the Blood Soldiers. And let me tell you, this was 2021. It's 2025 now, so I must have been 25, 26 years old. And I am thoroughly convinced as a man that if you're 26 years old, you really don't know what's going on. I surely didn't know what was going on. But I was attending these team meetings every week for 3 hours on a Tuesday night, which was the worst part, hands down. And there's always recruiting more and time and effort into you and requiring more from you in this walk of being a man. The thing of it was, at the time, I didn't understand what was really happening. I didn't have the parameters to be able to see and understand and apply the lessons that were being given to me by the men's team. It was rough. Let me tell you, it was just hard. And it wasn't hard in the way that basic training was hard, because I went through that as well. Basic training is more physical hard, learning your job, and an intense situation hard. Men's team was more like, why do you do what you are doing? Why are you allowing the world to push you into being anything other than what you truly are? And that's really based around one question, a fundamental question that I believe that everyone, but particularly every man, needs to answer. That's, who is the man you want to be? And if you're not being the man you want to be, how are we going to get you to be the man you want to be? They had this concept of the men's team that was called honor. Honor, not in the traditional sense that you may think of honor, I will rephrase that word to make it more digestible. It's really more of a congruence. By that I mean, are you acting, behaving, thinking in a manner that is congruent with the man you want to be? And if you are, then you are in honor. And if you are not, you're out of honor, and someone needs to get you back into honor. That was also annoying at the time, but man, if I had taken that lesson at 25 and applied it to my life, it would have saved me all of the headache leading up to 30. Now, I, as most people, have to learn the hard way. But let me tell you, living in honor congruently is the only way that you will ever be able to experience true freedom. Now, freedom doesn't necessarily mean that you are out, you know, roaming the streets, doing whatever you want without consequence. Everything you will ever do is going to have a consequence, whether you're in a bubble or whether you're not. But if you are living in honor, at the very least, you are free from the choice and the doubt that you are doing anything other than that which you should be doing. And that is liberating. You have to understand, and this is one of the concepts that they taught me. Again, I think this is ground rule 1 or 2. Own your jerkhood. You have to own your jerkhood. If you're going to live in congruence, which means telling the truth, which means doing what you said you're going to do, which means always be impeccable, you are going to offend other people. But you don't have to worry about them because you are who you are. If it wasn't for being on the men's team, if it wasn't for the Mark Riches and the Barrett Ortegs and the Tom Blacks of this world, I wouldn't have ever learned what it means to be Colin Charles. That's amazing. It is the liberation of taking up the mantle of your responsibility, telling the truth, and giving your impeccable effort at every turn. And I may have been away from the men's team for a few years now. Man, every single one of those lessons that I learned then is gold to me now. With that, it's part of being a man. And part of being a man is realizing that you do have to learn. And over time, you do gain wisdom and experience, and you see things differently, and you really get to hit the value. And that is something that a father can bestow to his child before he has to walk the hard way. A wise person learns from others' experience, a fool learns on his own. And the value of having a father or a father figure is not only in the experience that you can make up simply by sharing your story, but also the protection, the security, the goodness that comes as a result of having your father in your life and being a father to someone else. Again, I will never be able to lay out for you all the amount of good that just having my dad in my life has done for me. And truthfully, that gets me a little bit emotional, but I'm not going to cry because my future is brighter. I am stronger. I am more set up. The gifts that my father gave me, he does not even know, but I do. And hopefully I'll be able to bestow that to my children when the time comes. I have to find a woman first. But this is a big thank you to the fathers. And I hope that those of us who are in need of fathers, which is unfortunately nowadays most of us, find them. Find men who we can look up to and admire and learn from. Men who genuinely want the best for us. Because, contrary to popular belief, being a man does not mean that you're a villain. The truth of it is most men really want the best for their families and their community. Most of us just want peace. And peace means y'all not messing around all the time. And I hope that the men who are not ready to be fathers find what it takes inside of them to be fathers. And that doesn't necessarily mean procreating physically. Sometimes that means being around other men and holding each other to the accountability of being men. I wish everybody had a men's team. Maybe not as intense as the Blood Soldiers, but everybody needs a men's team. Every man needs a tribe. Every man needs somebody to hold up the mirror occasionally, and remind them, in lack of a better way of saying this, when they're being a bitch. You need a man to look you in the eye sometimes and be like, listen, you are not acting in your strength. We need that. We need each other. We need fathers and we need sons. Because this world is in a crisis of masculinity. Not because there's a dearth of it, because there's plenty of it to go around. It's just the people who are supposed to have chosen not to, and those who weren't supposed to chose to. Take that however you like. I'm a jerk. Deal with it. But this is to all of the men, whether they be in Blood Soldiers, whether they be on another men's team and they're looking out for each other, for all of the men who are taking care of their families and the generations behind them, and all of the men who are hurting, wishing that they had a father. We hear you. And I wish you all the best. If you need to talk about it, let's talk about it. But for right now, I'm going to leave you with one question. Who is that man that you want to be? And when you know, let me know. And until then, I'm Cahoolin. This is the Life of Logos podcast. And we will talk to you next time.